it's Richard Lucas of the Scottish Family Party here. Now, you've seen the title of this video, Government Funded Racism in Scotland. Now, that's quite a dramatic accusation. But in the course of this video, I'm going to give you the opportunity to decide for yourself whether that's the case. Now, a couple of days ago, I became aware of a controversy surrounding an art exhibition at the National Portrait Gallery in Edinburgh. The exhibition was called The Male Gaze, and it's a series of portraits of men through the centuries. Very much the sort of fashionable sort of themes going through it. Talks about representations of sexuality and gender through the ages, seeing masculinity as a process, whatever that means. It obviously had the ubiquitous picture of a transgender person, so very much the sort of fashionable on-message exhibition. The real source of controversy was a video produced by a band called Young Fathers that accompanied the exhibition. And the video is 4 minutes long, so I'm going to play the entire video as part of this video. I'm going to pause it at various points to have a look at the content and see what we can make of it. So here we go.
Gold edged and decorated, a coat framed with gold surrounding white skin wrapped around your body, fat and muscles and bones like a magic cloak. The signs of power, the signs of wealth, insignia, details that seem small and inconsequential, but they are proof of status. Your status, white, powerful, rich.
Okay, we'll stop it there first. Now, it's interesting, the very first point he makes, this his primary observation at the start of this video, is about the color of the skin of these people. He's talking about white skin. Okay, white, powerful and rich seem to be his three categories. White comes first. Now, when they were defending this video, the band said the film challenges the fact that the walls of the gallery are overwhelmingly present the rich, privileged, ruling classes of the past. Now, then there's a little disingenuous, because quite clearly it's saying about white, powerful and rich, and when they're defending themselves, they're just saying it's powerful and the rich. Now, they also went on to say, unfortunately, the meaning of the film has been purposefully misinterpreted by elements of the far right who've targeted the galleries and Young Fathers, saying that the film is anti-white when it's clearly anti-privilege. I'm not sure that's quite as clear as they're claiming there, but let's carry on.
This picture confirms you were a man, that you existed. Your family bore fruit burst from the tree, and here's the proof. Does this mean I don't exist? That I'm not a man?
Does this mean I don't exist? That I'm not a man? Now, it's quite hard to reconstruct his logic at this point. So he's saying because his ancestors are not in the Scottish Portrait Gallery, that somehow means that he doesn't exist. Now, my ancestors are not in the Scottish Portrait Gallery either. I'm not of Scottish ancestry. In fact, I'm not aware of any ancestors that would have gained a place in a gallery like that in any case. But do I question my existence on that basis? No, not at all. Maybe he could say, well, these are a different race. And there's a potentially valid point he could have made here. He could have said something sensible like, I feel a weaker sense of engagement with the history of Scotland. I find it harder to relate to Scotland's heritage because the people involved were of a different race than myself. That would have been a fair point to make. But instead of making that point, he bundled the race issue into his wider resentment of power and wealth, and he allowed that to also become resentment of the whiteness as well. So to answer his question, does this mean I don't exist? No, it doesn't. There's no way, no conceivable logical argument that starts with the contents of the Scottish National Portrait Gallery and concludes that you don't exist.
because I don't see a face like mine framed in gold hanging on the wall. Have you taken all the space, sucked out all the air, swallowed all the wine, taken the goodness from the earth, sweated the energy from my family's living essence, in order that you can live forever, etched in gold? Where's the universal balance? Am I meant to admire the brushwork and the colors and the historical context without considering how you came to be here? And the people who look like me aren't.
How did he start that section? How did he finish it? He started it by talking about people with a face like mine. And he finished by saying people who look like me aren't represented. Now, I think, again, that's a clear reference to his previous theme of skin colour. Now, he's then asking, how did these people get here? It seems to be possibly a suggestion that slavery was involved in it. But to answer that question, how did the people get there? Well, they got in the portrait gallery by all sorts of achievements, possibly some more worthy than others. But these people contributed to creating a great nation, a free, democratic, peaceful, prosperous nation. The nation that you're currently benefiting from, as I am.
Am I meant to just accept this? Am I meant to just accept that this is how things work out? Ignore the past that has survived despite attempts to gold edge it from existence?
Am I supposed to just accept this is how things work out? Now, looking at what he's just been saying, it seems to be, by that he means that the white men have become prominent and therefore are featured in the gallery. How could that have worked out in an overwhelmingly white nation during the era of the people depicted? I mean, how do you even start? What is there to accept? If he's saying he can't accept the fact that the prominent people in Scottish society through the centuries were of the racial characteristics of the people of Scotland at that time, I really don't know how to start answering that.
I am here, too, now. Then you are dead. Dead, random, white dude. What's so special about you?
It's really getting warmed up now, isn't it? When he says you're dead, that's said with real venom and spite, I would say. Dead, random, white dude. No, they're not random. The people who've achieved great things, that have done great service to the nation. That phrase, he knows it, everyone knows it, is designed to be offensive and demeaning. Could anyone begin to defend if I went to some African country and went to some museum and saw the monuments and commemorations of great leaders and great figures of the nation in the past, and I said they're just dead random black dudes? That would be grossly offensive, it would be indefensible. And yet here we are. He then says, what's so special about these people? Well, I've already alluded to that. They've done all sorts of achievements and contributions. But besides that, every human's got intrinsic value. So even if the people in these pictures were the worst of the worst, they're people who've died, and to be there sneering at their monuments, no matter what's happened in the past, I just think is inappropriate, to say the least.
I am here against the wall framed in gold, smiling in my privilege. The privilege of being alive. While you are now framed in dust. The signs of wealth, the insignia of status. They are a gravestone that a dog pisses against, shifting, cracked in clay. They are a long line of inbred spawn soon to die out themselves.
At this point, he's gloating that these people are dead. He's gloating that the figures from Scottish history portrayed in the gallery are dead. Then it comes to this line, a long line of inbred spawn soon to die out themselves. There are descendants of the people shown in that gallery still with us today. That is grossly offensive to them. It's grossly offensive to the people who built this nation. Now, he may try and defend himself, saying, oh, he's just talking about the aristocracy. Even if that's the case, that's still grossly offensive, again, including to people who are descendants of these people alive today. Is he meaning white-skinned people? That's been his theme so far. That's been a characteristic of the group he's been attacking. It's unclear. But whichever interpretation you put on it, it's gratuitously, extremely obviously, willfully offensive and insulting.
But I am here. My very existence, my closeness to your face, my breath, all offends thee.
My very existence offends thee. No, it doesn't. It's just more fantasy victimhood, presumed hatred, ascribing racist sentiments to the people portrayed. Some of the people portrayed in that gallery were anti-slavery campaigners. What it's basically saying is, you hate me and I hate you, and they're not even alive. He's going around picking a fight with dead people.
Or it would if you breathed yourself. But you can't. Your posterity is a cartoon, evidence of a vain stupidity, whilst my own monument is the living, pulsing one that is here, next to you, in your hallowed space, every thought an encryption. I am here, now.
Your posterity is a cartoon. Again, it's just mockery. Scotland's historic figures are a joke, is the basic message. Evidence of a vain stupidity. Scotland's historic figures were stupid. Scientists, engineers, military commanders, politicians, reformers, artists, writers, they were stupid, says a topless man walking around pretending to punch paintings.
But I can feel the gravity of mortality pulling me down. Ghost breath stuffing my lungs, the endless gazes of dead, random, white dudes. You can't frame me. I'm a man. Despite you, to spite you.
I'm a man, he says, as if anyone disagrees. Again, who does he think he's arguing with? I'm here despite you. Despite who? Now, as far as I can tell, Alloysious Massaquoi, the chap in the film, he came from Liberia with his family at the time, roughly, of the civil wars in Liberia. And he talks about the way he was welcomed here. He says, it's a brilliant place to live. People are so friendly, and living here has given me so many more opportunities than I would have had in Liberia, like for work and education, and I've met so many friends. Okay. Despite who? Then he says, to spite you, to spite the dead random white dudes. Notice, not the rich dudes, not the powerful dudes, the dead random white dudes. He's here to spite the people who made Scotland what it is today, that is so enjoying. Now, to Alloysius, I would just urge some humility and some respect. What I would like is to share in the heritage of Scotland. I'd like him to walk around the gallery thinking, these are the forebears of my nation. I love my country. These people have played a part in the past. I want to play my part in the future. Now, he's expressed gratitude for the welcome he received, for the opportunities he's enjoying. I want to reply saying, no problem, great to have you, join in our culture, join in our heritage. But it seems like he's rejecting it, sadly. Now, I'm going to play the rest of the film now. There's nothing particularly interesting in it, but I wouldn't like anyone to say that I'd missed a part out that maybe contains something significant. So I'll just finish the film off, and I'll have a few concluding remarks. Okay, here's the last bit.
I see you. I see you. And I'm gone.
The maker of that film said it's amazing that the National Portrait Gallery commissioned a film like this, and I'd like to absolutely agree with him. I also think it's amazing that any public body would commission a film like that and display it at public expense. Alloysius went on to say it was amazing that they would take the chance, and it's a shame that it's hijacked by people with ulterior motives to create hatred and division among us. Now, you can judge for yourselves, was this film really a device to promote harmony and goodwill? No, it was grossly offensive and overtly hostile to an ill-defined historic group depicted in the National Portrait Gallery. and part of the group description is white. It's mentioned 4 times. Just to give a comparison, they're referred to as rich 3 times, their power and status is referred to 4 times, and their skin colour is referred to 4 times. The tone of a lot of the content, it seems to be hinting at the theme of sort of white privilege that's coming through, even though that makes no sense in the context of the history of Scotland. That seems to be some of the philosophy coming through. So would I describe the film as racist? Yes, I would. I think the repeated reference to skin colour and the viciousness and spitefulness of the attacks, I think entirely justify it as being described as racist. So yes, that's state-funded racism. Now, after the controversy, the gallery withdrew the film, but I think it was more out of fear that someone would go and smash the screen or something, rather than actually feeling any sort of repentance or regret over the incident. It's still available online, and nothing they've said indicates that they feel that the film is inappropriate. Now, I've had a look online at some of the responses to this video and some of the comments posted on YouTube, etc. I mean, they were appalling. They were quite plainly racists, much more vile, explicit and abusive than anything in this film. So you could ask, why am I not talking about those instead of talking about the film itself? And then the important difference is this: the sort of racism that was filling up the comments threads, that's not politically controversial. Everyone in politics would condemn that. Whereas what we're looking at in this film is government funded. Now, I'd be very interested to hear what Nicola Sturgeon would have to say about that film. Is she happy with my taxes being paid to produce that sort of thing? How about Ruth Davidson? What's her take on it? Kezia Dugdale. Patrick Harvey. Now, my guess would be Patrick Harvey would be extremely supportive of this film. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but that would be my guess. Identity politics is never helpful. It's destructive, it's divisive, and that's what we've got an example of here. Some people want to bring race to the forefront of every issue, to see every issue through the lens of race. Other people want to do it through gender, etc., etc. So we get the message coming through here: white privilege, white guilt, white people should be ashamed in some way. And the response that tends to provoke in white people, they can tend to think to themselves, well, hang on a minute, no, actually, there's lots to be proud about being white. White people have done lots of great things. And then you're just heading along the road towards white nationalism and worse, which we definitely, it's not a road we want to go down. But these two things feed off each other. Now, I believe this video has created some racial hostility. In people's minds, that will have associated black people with anti-white sentiment, and it will tend to have the opposite effect as well. It's another step in the cycle, the downward spiral of racial tension. I think the way out of that is to de-emphasize race. Most people I come across, everyone I come across, they don't care about race. They've got no time for racism. They're not interested in seeing things from a racial perspective. But where real racism is evident, and it does exist, it certainly does exist, it should be dealt with. But you deal with specific incidents. You don't deal with racism by heightening racial divisions in society. This video whips up racial tension. It encourages us and them thinking. But the way to tackle racism is through being a united community. So whoever made the decision to fund and show this film made a serious error of judgment, fomenting racial disharmony and politicising the government-funded arts. It's a testament to the groupthink in Scotland that a film as offensive as this could make it into a gallery without anyone calling to halt it. Just one last point. Alloysious Massaquoi was paid to make a film that would feature him in the National Portrait Gallery. He was given the chance to have his face in the gallery. So what did he do with this opportunity? He made a film complaining bitterly that people like him are not featured in the National Portrait Gallery. Now, I've spoken about this. The Scottish Family Party, we have a very clear policy and principles on this. We're opposed to identity politics in every context. It's divisive and it's destructive, and it's on the rise in Scottish society, in the UK, I think in the Western world in general, and we're a voice speaking out against it. Right, thanks for watching. If you want to subscribe to our YouTube channel, go right ahead. You can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. But thanks for watching, and hopefully see you next time. Goodbye.